Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome to Sam and Max Hit the Books. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And we are here today to review the independently published comic Earthworm Jim, Launch the Cow. This is written and mostly drawn by Doug TenNapel and colored by Catherine Garner, lettering by Eric Weathers. Before we talk about the contents of the book, I'd like to talk about the book itself.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Definitely.
This is a beautiful hardcover, and this was a Indiegogo campaign that I backed, so this was crowdfunded. I believe it is currently the third highest crowdfunded comic of all time.
Nice.
It was number one for a few months.
That's pretty good.
But all of the it started out just as a regular hardcover book with no frills, and then as stretch goals got knocked down in the campaign, it was like, oh, let's add the red foil to the front, and let's emboss the cover, and let's add gold leaf to the edges.
Nice.
So there's so many bonuses that came with it just in the book itself, besides the many, many goodies that TenNapel stuffed into the box, which itself, I believe I showed you, the box was covered with a TenNapel illustration.
Right.
Yeah, so
pretty cool.
Was an Aces project all the way through. So real quick, we do have familiarity with the character Earthworm Jim. We played both of the games on Sega Genesis.
There were two?
There was 2 Earthworm Jim games.
Huh. Okay.
Well, that answers that question. The games were weird and had a lot of random shit happening.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, I remember the first 2 levels of what I believe are the first game fairly well.
Yeah, because you got your junkyard.
Right, junkyard with the crane fish box boss, and then you went to Heck.
Well, I don't know if Heck was Heck the second level? I don't think so, because I believe there was, don't forget the water level where you had to hop into like a blue bubble orb that you had to control the jets of, and it was very hard to control, and if you knocked yourself against the wall too many times, it would crack and die. Yeah,
I remember that. I feel like that was after Heck.
You may be right. And then in the second game, I remember there was some sort of underground, I'm in the dirt, and there's bug-related enemies. But yes, I also remember the second game much less clearly than the first. And there's a lot of characters from the first game in the book here. Including, they go to Heck, and we see Evil the cat.
Yes, Evil the cat is there.
Let's get into it. All right, go ahead.
Now, answer me this, though. Was it a thing in the game that you got hit out of the suit, and then you have to be a worm and crawl back into it?
Definitely not in the first one.
Okay.
In the second one, I believe there were levels where maybe you were just doing shit as the worm part.
Okay.
I believe that is possible.
All right, cool. Thanks for clearing that up. Kind of.
Yes.
Let's get into it.
What'd you think of... I know this is your first Doug TenNapel comic. What do you think of the art style at play here?
I like it a lot. It works really well for the humor of everything that's going on.
Yeah, because this is a comedy book at the end of the day.
Right.
First and foremost.
Most definitely.
It's a little Star Wars-y, because you have a villain that's basically like a Jabba the Hutt emperor with a Death Star.
Right. Intergalactic planet destroyer.
But it's been designed in the most inconvenient way possible, where only somebody wearing this very special suit that contains this extremely special molecule is able to fire the gun.
Right, there's only one of this power source.
There's only one of this MacGuffin power source, and it's in this suit, one of many lines of suits that Professor Monkey Forehead made. Professor Monkey Forehead has a monkey forehead.
Yes, he does.
And there's at least one panel, I don't remember if it's... Oh yeah, it is very early, where the monkey poops into its hand and then flings the poop into the human half's chest.
I did not notice it pooping into its hand. I definitely noticed it throwing some feces on his chest.
That must happen all the fucking time.
Yeah, probably.
How does this scientist never get anything done? No wonder he can't successfully build a super suit before this one without his crazy molecule.
This is true.
We get this plot. We get introduced to almost all of the cast besides Jim first, because you've got Queen Slug for a Butt.
Yeah.
And you've got Princess What's-Her-Name.
Yeah.
And you've got Psychro. This is all very video game convention names.
Yeah.
And we get the origin of Jim, the worm who crawled into the suit, which was also... Oh, yeah, we didn't mention the magic half.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember any of that from the games. I thought the suit itself is what imbued Jim with sentience, but that's not true.
Right. It seems that some sort of star goddess who lives on a comet imbued the suit, because it like randomly was in her possession for a few seconds.
For a few seconds, yeah.
Imbued it with the ability to make life.
Yeah, make a hero.
Make a hero that would desire to find love. And so the worm crawls in and evolves into a worm head. Which it really makes you wonder, like, how the spell worked. Like, if something that wasn't a worm, like, you know, how much is it going to generate? Did it only do a head because he's just a worm? Like, it's very specifically designed that only this could have happened, basically.
Oh yeah, but we saw Psycho get into the suit earlier, and
before it was imbued with magic.
It's true, but the suit does displace your mass. So it seems like there's a twofold imbue with sentience from the goddess and displace mass to make you a bigger thing.
I guess...
I mean, he has a butt. He's not just a head.
That's true. I guess what my actual question that I was struggling to word is if she had not randomly encountered a suit, like if she had encountered the worm herself and just did the give life spell to the worm, would the worm have grown arms and legs? Or is it specifically because the spell is connected to the suit that the worm just grew the extra piece that the suit needed to be alive?
Good question.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, you know, I think I might know the answer to all the questions like that in this book, because he gives us a hint, Doug does, in a much later scene once we're hanging out with the farmer and everybody's sitting down to dinner.
Yeah.
And they do sort of like that scene from The Dark Tower when Roland tries soda for the first time, because everybody thinks the farmer's homegrown food is so incredible and amazing.
Right.
And
the gravy and the mashed potatoes.
And they pause to say grace, and it's very somber, and the scene seems to be setting up like as if there's going to be some joke or something at some point, and it's just it's just a solid nod to being religious. So I'm saying God did it is the answer to the unanswered questions in this book.
Well, that's fair. Why not?
Yeah, the farmer character.
Farmer Jim.
Farmer Jim is pretty funny. Yeah, that is funny that he just steals his name. I forgot about that.
This is like Jim. Earthworm Jim. Hey, Farmer Jim? I'll be Earthworm Jim.
And, the farmer, you don't really think he's going to be a major character when he first shows up, but he ends up being, like, part of the little Scooby gang that gets put together.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Do you remember the Earthworm Jim cartoon at all?
Yes.
Alright, so remember in the cartoon he had the dog sidekick, Peter Puppy, who had like a blue button-up shirt.
Yeah.
And he could Hulk.
Right. And yeah, you tickle him to make him unhulk. So I was mixing it up with something and thought it was a sneeze.
Right. And it's also, I believe... Now, see, in the games, he does show up. I don't think you ever, like, directly interact with him, or maybe he's a boss that you can't hurt yourself. He's, like, running around underneath you, and you have to drop something on him. And then he reverts to small dog, and I believe in the game, he looks like this dog, as opposed to, like, the very cartoonish Saturday morning cartoon Peter Puppy.
That's fair.
But that was an interesting plot line, the dog that was, like, designed to be an enemy, and it's just like, nah, I have free will, though, now.
I was called a good dogger.
I was called a good dog. Yeah, there's a lot of gags, and Jim is an interesting character because he doesn't understand anything about anything.
Yeah, he's totally oblivious.
He's totally oblivious. It is funny every time the princess grabs his hand, and he goes, "Ooh, touch!"
Yeah.
Which really makes you ask questions about the suit. Like, can he feel things through the suit, like its skin?
Yeah, it seems so. It definitely seems like it.
It seems so, right?
Yeah. When he's in it, there are his arms and legs, and he doesn't know how his back end is controlling it with all the levers.
Right, he's just doing it naturally until he, like, checks.
Yeah.
And I like it when all of his features get slapped off.
Yeah, that's funny. Or when the suit does stuff on its own.
Yeah, that is another interesting thing. The suit, it just, like, knows how to fight. So it does most of the fighting, which, when you think about it, is almost like Jim is a video game character being controlled in his actions.
It's true.
And
like when it grabs its head to use the whip, that was definitely a thing in the video game.
That was definitely
that suit's doing it on its own.
And yeah, I did really like the way that they really tried to have everything from the game show up.
Yeah.
Like all the random stuff that when they wrote that game, like that was just a bunch of bullshit. That era of games. Like, oh yeah, he jumps on a catapult and it throws a cow into the sky and it causes this Rube Goldberg contraption to thing. There's hooks in the sky. And yeah, why would we give him a rope? He's got a worm head. So he slings his worm head to grab the rope. It's all like now we have to explain that and turn it into a comic book with a plot that actually strings all these things together. And I gotta say, right down to the fact that they spent like 20 pages in hell.
Yep.
Or heck, I'm sorry.
I loved him going to heck. I thought that was great.
And he's
there for hundreds of years.
He's there for hundreds of years. And he doesn't change a lick.
No.
He is a pure-hearted, good hero.
It's true.
And
he's almost Goku-esque.
Very interesting. Yeah, I can see that. Very sort of Goku-esque. Jug gets a little political during the heck parts.
Yes. the cat from hell.
That was pretty funny. You know, when you're independently producing your own comic book, you can say the things you want to say. And, we get our weird little, like, Dune reference where the small earthworm is able to communicate with the big earthworms. And, spoiler alert. I know we always spoil everything, but this is a big spoiler for this book. I gotta talk about the big thing. How shocked were you when Jim dies?
Super shocked.
I couldn't believe it. They went all the way.
He sacrifices his life and is able to be a hero. And it's sad.
It's sad, and it's a great moment. And he does it. He succeeds by sacrificing his life in a classic heroic sacrifice. I feel like I said sacrifice like 8 times. Just now. But it's great.
Yeah, and he doesn't come back, but we see that, he definitely could.
So not only could he, but he will, because they buried his butt. And then the remaining life-giving magic energy of the suit is gonna
reform him.
It's gonna reform, and as we know, if you split a worm in half,
right,
like it's just 2 worms. Like it's the same worm twice over.
Yep.
So that's there's your Earthworm Jim 2, ready to go.
It's true. And it does make me want to play those games.
It does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was even, for the previous crowdfund that Doug did for his book Bigfoot Bill, one of the perks that I don't think ever actually got completed was he was going to have somebody do up a little demo Bigfoot Bill game that was going to basically just be a little, like, a level of Earthworm Jim. And they had, like, the sprite animations for Bill already, and he was even doing the same, like, up and down, like, thing with standing motion. He was running the same way that Jim would. So
nice.
You know, I'm still due for that if it ever gets finished.
Well, something to hope for.
But anyway, Earthworm Jim, Launch the Cow. It is a extremely solid, if not amazing, story. Because if there's one knock against it, it's that it is just a collection of tropes we've seen before, rearranged in a comfortable and pleasing manner.
Oh yeah.
Good
so many gags, though.
But the gags are great.
It's funny from start to end.
And it's very rare to get a book that sets out to be funny and can actually pull it off.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like this a lot. I'm going to give this an 8.
I would also give it an 8.
Yeah, the art is wonderful throughout, as we said earlier. Very expressive and cartoonish, and the colors are good, and they set the mood, and it differs from section to section, and the cartooning work is good, everybody's facial expressions, and it's, when I got this and sat down to read it, I planned, I'll just get started, read the first 10, 15 pages. It was right before bed. And I read the whole thing in one sitting once I started, because it just takes you from one thing to the next. Boom, 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 boom. There's no breaks.
Yeah, I did the same thing from start to end. I mean, the way it flows, there's a word for it. The pacing is really done well, where it gets to the action and the excitement, and then it pulls it back to just nice little moments, and then in and out of the story. It's good.
It's the execution is exemplary. So yeah, that's going to do it for Earthworm Jim for now. Thanks everybody for listening. And like, subscribe, you know the drill. And we will be back in the very near future with even more comic reviews.
Groovy!